Dr. G here from Natural Foods Diet. An FDA panel in June 2015 recommended the approval of a new, what they're calling Viagra for women. Now this drug doesn't give women a hard-on, but it supposedly treats low sexual desire. The name of the drug is philbanserin. The story is interesting because this drug was twice before up for review by FDA panels for the same indication, but it was voted down. And to me this makes sense, as this drug has numerous side effects that include increasing the risk of fainting from dropping blood pressure and some potentially serious drug interaction. The other issue is that it wasn't very effective. In the clinical trials that were done, it was only around 10%. In other words, you'd have to treat 10 women to find one that would benefit from the drug. So the other 9 women would be SOL and exposed to side effects and adverse reactions of the drug. Now this drug is taken every day, whether you want to have sex or not. So it's perfect for the drug companies because I imagine this is going to be as expensive as hell. So it's going to make tons of money for the drug companies. And a woman's going to have to take this potentially dangerous drug basically for the rest of her life so that 1 in 10 women can have some improvement in their sexual desire. Now to me that sounds absolutely crazy. Now how did impaired sexual desire become a medical disease that needs drug treatment? The diagnosis of female sexual dysfunction became a disease with the help of drug companies. Now Pfizer, the company that makes Viagra, had a role here. Now books have been written about how drug companies have done this in the past. So Pfizer did clinical trials to see if Viagra worked in women. So they had a strong interest in making female sexual dysfunction a disease. Now unfortunately for Pfizer, Viagra failed for improving sexual function in women in the clinical trials. But because they had high hopes for Viagra's approval, Pfizer did their own survey study. And they determined, guess what? Female sexual dysfunction affects 63% of women. Now that's what I call a big market, a gold mine, the goose that laid the golden egg. And then another drug company from Germany that had a vested interest in this female sexual dysfunction developed a 5-question screening tool to give physicians so they can decide which women need to be treated, just by asking 5 simple questions. Now how easy is that to get put on a drug? You don't have to have a long history and a physical. Just, hey, answer these 5 questions. We got a drug for you. We're going to write a script. So, in other words, drug companies help invent the disease and then they help doctors decide how to make the diagnosis. So that's great. But women want equality. Women's groups were going, hey, there's 26 different approved drugs to treat men's sexual dysfunction and women don't have any. That's just not fair. So when the FDA panel turned philbanserin down, there was a lot of lobbying by women's groups, and even a group of congresswomen wrote the FDA and said, hey, you better approve this drug. We don't care if it works or not. Or that's me paraphrasing them. Now when you consider how the drug companies design studies, they line their ducks up carefully in a row so they are more likely to get the drug to pass. Most studies have a run-in period where they weed out anybody who's not going to take the drug or doesn't tolerate the drug, and then with the people you have left, you do your study. And that means these people are much more likely to react favorably. So when you consider this, it's very likely that this drug, when you take a bunch of women off the street, is going to have no effect at all. Now our society wants to fix everything with a drug, and women demand equality with men, even if it's bad. Now I'm not against finding effective drugs to treat medical conditions, but I doubt if a drug is going to solve the problem of a woman having decreased sexual desire. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's just like the crazy reliance on drugs we have to treat mild to moderate depression. When you look at the studies, they really don't outperform placebo. And that's just a fact. And guess what? Philbanserin is a failed antidepressant. It lowers serotonin and increases dopamine and norepinephrine. Now these are neurotransmitters and are very carefully balanced in our nervous system. Drug companies indiscriminately alter neurotransmitter levels without having a clue about what they're doing. But I guess you could look at this as a cup half empty or a cup half full. For you kids out there, let this be a lesson to you. If at first you fail, don't give up. Maybe with the help of some friends, you can still make it big. But to me, this shows that the FDA is spineless and they have very little regard for people's health. I'm not saying that female sexual dysfunction is not a problem, but I believe a holistic approach and not take a mind-altering drug for the rest of your life is a much better way to deal with it. If you like this kind of health information, please subscribe to our channel. This is Dr. G. Thanks for watching.